Hi everybody, my name's Jon Hendl. I'm running for town council for one of the 3-year terms. I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters for giving us this forum to talk a little bit about ourselves. A lot of my background in town is documented on the written submission, so I want to spend this time talking a little bit about my approach and problem solving. In my professional business, which I've been doing for more than 25 years, I work in strategic communications, and clients come in because we're a client service industry, and they say, John, we have a challenge that we need you to help us address from a communication standpoint. So that requires me to take a 360 view of the challenge at hand, understand all the variables that are coming into play, work on a very finite budget that I'm given by the client, and make sure that I have measurement and tools along the way that show I'm achieving the objectives that they're coming up with. It always starts with trying to uncover the data and gain an insight from that data. And fortunately, the time that I've been here in Glen Rock, I've been able to apply that to a number of challenges that we faced as a town. The first was renovating Faber. The second was the fire siren here at Coleman School that would go off during the day. And the third is the sidewalk issue. And the approach I've taken to every single one of them is very similar. It takes a little rigor, but it's important that we always follow a process. First, I try to figure out what is really at the core of the problem, and that goes by listening to people and listening to the challenges that exist and gathering data from everywhere. That can be what other towns are doing, what Glen Rock has done in the past, or in all of those instances, surveying the residents to hear what they really think and what themes are emerging that we need to use to address the challenges at hand. For example, in the sidewalk example, people were mad about a whole host of things. But the acute problem that I focused on was the fact that there was this anonymous form that would allow anyone to just kind of carpet bomb towns and neighborhoods without any accountability whatsoever. So that's what I focused on in the sidewalk issue. And now we have a form that requires people to put their name, to identify where, and to fill out a separate form for every single instance. And guess what? The number of complaints have gone down dramatically. The same thing for the fire siren here at Coleman, which would go off during the day when kids were at school, many of those kids who have special needs in the classrooms here in Coleman. So I went out and I looked at every single town in Bergen County to find out what their policy was and if they had them on the school. None of them did. And then also surveyed the residents and the parents here at Coleman School to see what solutions they would want. And we came up with one. It took a while to advocate for it, and we were able to get it done. Faber Field was the same exact way, where it was something that had failed in the past. I conducted a survey of the Shooting Stars parents. We were actually able to have observational data as well, since that was the field that we practiced on, and we were seeing the soil erode, rocks come up, petrified glass. We were able to present that information, and we looked at all of the science that existed about turf fields and how they had evolved over the 10 years since the first instance of when we tried to get the field passed failed. We created our arguments, and you have to, because at the council you only have 3 minutes to talk every 2 weeks. It took us 2 years, and we were able to get that one done too. So as a professional communicator and in strategic communications, I understand the rigor that needs to go into town government to make sure that we see all sides that are representative, to make sure that we're listening first, and then we're coming up with solutions based on insights. In addition, we have to make sure that we have metrics along the way to show that we're being successful, and more importantly, that we're using your money the right way. Because fiscal responsibility isn't just about going out there and cutting taxes. It's about providing value for the services we provide and seeing if there's a way that we can look at the assets that we have in town to make sure we're using them the most efficiently. Before I close, I want to talk on one thing about the assets. And it's a big one for me because I've been talking about it since the beginning of the year. And that's the commuter spots in the main line lot. So we have a number of them that are for outer towners right now. And then we have a whole host of other ones that are just for people in Glen Rock. And every day, please go and look, the ones in the main line lot are almost completely vacant, which means we're not utilizing that asset the right way, and we're not bringing the right amount of revenue into this town. The out-of-town spots are always full. So my idea is, let's pilot 20 of those spots, usually about 60 or 70 that go unused. Let's pilot 20 of those spots, make them monthly out-of-towner spots where we charge a set amount. Let's just call it $200 a month for out-of-towners to have a guaranteed spot. That could result in $4,000 of found revenue for the town each and every month. And if the process works and residents still aren't using those spots, then we increase it. That's more money coming into the town. That's money that we can spend for those flashing lights when people are trying to cross the street. Get more of those around the schools. It can be used to create a marketing budget so that we can advertise our town and our businesses a little bit more. Or it can be spent on a whole host of other things. The main point is it would be revenue that you, the taxpayers, do not have to pay for because it's not coming out of our tax base. It's bringing other people into the town to see what we're all about, and it's taking revenue from them and applying it to our budget. Why do I think that's a good idea? Because I've done the research. I've counted the spots. I know that this is something that will work. And if I'm elected for town council, that type of rigor, that type of fiscal responsibility, and that type of communication where you have an opportunity to share what you think, whether it's through surveys or through two-way communication at the town council, is what I will bring. Why? Because I'm wired that way. That's what I do for a living. That's what I do professionally. And it's the action that I've taken over time in the town that's proven successful. I hope I can get your vote on November 4th. Stay safe, everybody.